Welcome to YNAB Helpdesk, where I answer real questions from my coaching clients. Today's question comes from Susan. I'm in the process of moving funds from a couple of savings accounts into a Vanguard brokerage account. I first transferred some funds from one savings account to another, then moved a large sum from that savings account into Vanguard. I'm not sure how to categorize all these moves in YNAB. What's the right way to handle it? Susan is hitting on a very common problem among YNAB users. How do you categorize transactions in YNAB that are just moves between accounts, not spending? Totally understandable. This kind of money shuffling can feel really confusing sometimes, especially when it's just transferring between your own accounts, and some of it might actually be leaving your plan to an off-plan brokerage or savings account. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. In YNAB, there's a clear distinction between the accounts section and your plan. Accounts are the containers where your money physically lives, and your plan is the metadata on top that describes your intended use for that money. When you're moving money from one account to another, you're not actually spending any money, so you don't need a category for that transaction. The exception is if you're moving money from an account that's part of your spending plan to an account that's not part of your plan. In that case, you would categorize it with a category that matches your intention. In this case, maybe something like investments. Let me show you what that looks like in a real spending plan inside of YNAB. The first thing Susan did was to move money from one savings account into another. Here's what that transaction would look like if you entered it manually. You'd go into the account register for either one of the affected accounts. In this case, we'll go into the account where the money is leaving and add a new transaction. Because this is moving money, not spending money, instead of selecting a category for the transaction, you'd click on the Payee field and choose Transfer to the receiving account. You'll see that YNAB says no category is required. Next, when Susan moves funds from that savings account into her Vanguard brokerage, that money is leaving the plan. It will no longer be included in Ready to Assign or be available to spend on other things. Since that money is leaving the plan, YNAB will view it as an outflow, and Susan should categorize that outflow as something like investments, or whatever her intended purpose or job for that money is. Please note that because transferring money to an off-plan account does count as an outflow, you will need to cover that spending with money from your plan. This way, the amount of money she has available in her plan decreases by exactly the amount she transferred out. Her categories stay accurate, and her day-to-day spending plan remains focused on the money that's still available to spend. So the key takeaway is this. In YNAB, moving money between accounts that are part of your spending plan isn't spending. It's just changing the location where the money is stored, not giving it a new job. You only need a category when money leaves your plan, like when it's spent making purchases or transferred to an account that doesn't show up as part of your spending plan. Keeping that distinction clear makes your plan cleaner, simpler, and more accurate. It makes your plan a plan you can trust. If this helped you out, check out the YNAB Helpdesk playlist for more real client questions just like this one. And if you'd like personal help getting your YNAB setup dialed in, you can work with me directly. The link is below.